Do you remember the era of Star Trek, when every time the Enterprise jumped to warp speed, the whole family held their breath? It was a world where Captain Kirk was always heroic with his dramatic, almost invisible punches. Spock remained calm to the point where it sometimes felt like he might fall asleep at any moment. And Dr. McCoy kept grumbling like someone who had just misplaced the keys to an entire space station. But believe it or not, even the legendary Captain James T. Kirk had his awkward moments. There were times when he got so intense in a fight that his shirt ripped before he even touched his opponent. And behind that serious, commanding presence were moments of romance that made network executives nervous. There were even torture scenes so intense that they were ordered to be removed almost immediately. So now, let's switch into detective mode and count down the 15 bloopers and hidden moments that fans still rewind to this day. The kiss that terrified the network. Think back to that unforgettable moment between Kirk and Uhura under the control of the Plutonians. The two slowly move closer and share a real, genuine kiss. There were no tricks, no camera illusions. It was real, and it made the executives at NBC extremely uncomfortable. To avoid controversy, the network demanded a backup version where the two only hugged. But William Shatner had other plans. He intentionally ruined every alternate take, crossing his eyes, making silly faces. So the only usable version left was the real kiss. The result? A groundbreaking moment in television history. And when Nichelle Nichols later reflected on it, she revealed that fan reactions were overwhelmingly positive. That single scene helped change television forever, proving that even in space, love knows no boundaries. Charlie X, the warp speed wardrobe change. If there were an award for the fastest outfit change in the galaxy, the Enterprise's turbo lift would win easily. In one scene, Kirk steps into the elevator, wearing his classic gold uniform. Moments later, when the doors open, he's suddenly wearing something completely different. This amusing continuity error happened in the episode Charlie X. Most likely, footage from different filming days was stitched together without checking the wardrobe. Back then, viewers barely noticed, but in HD it's impossible to miss. Of course, fans like to joke that the Enterprise secretly had a fashion-changing laser system built right into the elevator. The deleted torture scene. One of the most intense moments came from the episode Dagger of the Mind. Originally, Kirk's torture scene was far more disturbing. He was strapped into a neural device, surrounded by glowing red light, while his body convulsed under pressure. William Shatner delivered a chilling performance, sweat pouring down his face, eyes rolling back in agony. But the network quickly stepped in, calling it too violent for family television. Within 24 hours, the original version was removed and replaced with a toned-down edit. What we see today is only a shadow of what was originally filmed. The morphine that disappeared. In the city on the edge of forever, the opening feels softer than it was meant to be, and there's a reason for that. In the original script by Harlan Ellison, Dr. McCoy accidentally overdoses on morphine, sending him into a state of panic and hallucination. But mentioning a real-world drug like morphine was considered too sensitive for television at the time. So the network forced a rewrite. Morphine was replaced with fictional substance, removing much of the darker emotional weight from the story. A powerful concept was softened to fit the rules of the era. Uhura's instant recovery. In the episode The Changeling, Uhura suffers a devastating moment. Her memory is completely wiped. She's reduced to relearning basic knowledge from scratch. It's a shocking and emotional scene. But then in the very next episode, she's back to normal. No trauma, no explanation, nothing. That's classic 1960s television logic, where even life-altering events can be fixed between episodes like they never happened. Kirk's tombstone mistake. For decades, a tiny detail went unnoticed. In one scene, a tombstone appears with Kirk's name, but it reads James R. Kirk instead of James T. Kirk. Back in the day, blurry TV screens hid the mistake. But once HD versions were released, the error became impossible to ignore. Eventually, CBS offered an explanation that the character responsible simply remembered it wrong. Whether that's true or not, fans are still debating it. The self-destructing shirt. Kirk's torn shirt became iconic, but not for the reason fans originally believed. As kids, It seemed like his strength literally ripped the fabric apart. But in reality, it was just clever editing. Between shots, the shirt would go from perfectly intact to completely torn. It became such a signature look that it turned into an unofficial symbol of Kirk's battles. The fake super strength. Kirk once pushes a massive boulder during a fight, making him look incredibly powerful. But in HD, the illusion falls apart. The Rock clearly wobbles like lightweight foam. What once looked heroic now feels unintentionally funny, but also strangely charming. The band child scene. The episode Miri was originally much darker than what aired. Early drafts included haunting imagery, abandoned toys, empty strollers, and even the bodies of children. The network immediately rejected it. The scene was removed, and the episode was softened significantly. What remains is only a hint of the original, much heavier story. The singing illusion. In The Conscience of the King, a character performs a song, but something feels off. Her lips barely move, yet the voice continues perfectly. As kids, no one noticed. But in HD, the mismatch is obvious and unintentionally hilarious. The wrinkled screen. The Enterprise's view screen once felt like futuristic technology beyond imagination. But in Tomorrow is Yesterday, HD reveals the truth. It looks like wrinkled paper under studio lights. A simple prop, exposed by time. The stunt doubles revealed. Back in the day, it looked like William Shatner did all his own stunts. But HD remasters reveal stunt doubles clearly stepping in during action scenes. Different faces, slightly off hairstyles, once invisible, now impossible to miss. Camera equipment on set. In Where No Man Has Gone Before, something unexpected appears. A camera and cables right on the bridge. It's a reminder that the future was built on a small, crowded set, and sometimes reality slipped into frame. The zombie mistake. In one eerie scene, a motionless figure lies in path. But as the actors approach, the body politely moves to make space, then goes back to stillness. A terrifying moment turned unintentionally funny. Return of the Archons. A collection of mistakes. This episode is filled with small, charming errors. Props bounce like rubber. Objects disappear between shots, and actors react before sound effects even play. What once felt serious now feels surprisingly lighthearted. Looking back at Star Trek, it becomes clear what once seemed perfect was full of small flaws. Rubber props, editing mistakes, continuity errors. But those imperfections are exactly what make it feel human and timeless. The show didn't rely on advanced technology. It relied on imagination, passion, and bold storytelling. And maybe that's why it has lasted for nearly 60 years. Not because it was flawless, but because it dared to dream,